Ladies and gentlemen, we are all witnessing the complete and total collapse of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. You see, just hours after President Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods went into effect, Trudeau hopped into a heated phone call with President Trump himself, and let's just say it did not go well for him. And now, well, Trudeau just went live on national TV and had a complete emotional breakdown, literally crying on camera as he warned Canadians that their lives are about to get a lot more difficult. But folks, here's the thing. President Trump very clearly doesn't even want to have to enforce these tariffs. In fact, he's only doing this to get Canada to actually help secure their side of the border, which so far they have pretty much refused to do. So today we're going to break all of this down. Trudeau's meltdown, Trump's tariffs, and why all of this is just yet another shining example of weak liberal leadership crumbling under pressure. So first, let's take a look at what Trudeau himself had to say about his phone call with President Trump.
Yesterday, I spoke with President Trump, and I reiterated the facts. Our border is secure, and less than 1% of the illegal fentanyl entering the United States comes from Canada. Even so, we took action with our $1.3 billion plan to further strengthen our border. Canada's ministers, officials, and I will continue to engage with our American counterparts. Our goal remains to get these tariffs, all tariffs, removed. In the meantime, we'll be taking action to support Canadians through the tough times ahead.
Folks, with all of that, where do we even begin? Trudeau claims that less than 1% of illegal fentanyl coming into the US comes from Canada, but here's the thing. Canada doesn't actually effectively monitor its border well enough to even know how much fentanyl is coming through. So in other words, what Trudeau is basically saying is this: we don't adequately track fentanyl at our border, therefore we're not responsible for any of it. Yeah, Trudeau, that's not how this is going to work. In fact, this is exactly why President Trump is applying these tariffs, because Canada refuses to actually lock down their border, and instead of doing something about it, Trudeau is just sitting there making excuses. Now, if Trudeau thought that these weak excuses were going to make President Trump back down, he's dead wrong. And so now, in his latest national address to his fellow Canadians just the other night, he's pretty much admitting that as a consequence of his incompetent leadership, the life of Canadians is about to get a lot harder under Trump's tariffs. Take a look.
To my fellow Canadians, I won't sugarcoat it. This is going to be tough, even though we're all going to pull together, because that's what we do. We will use every tool at our disposal so Canadian workers and businesses can weather this storm. From expanding EI benefits and making them more flexible to providing direct supports to businesses, we will be there as needed to help. But Canada, make no mistake, no matter how long this lasts, no matter what the cost, the federal government and other orders of government will be there for you.
So let me get this straight. Trudeau is actually with a straight face trying to tell his fellow Canadians that he's doing everything he possibly can to help them weather this storm. Folks, I can think of one thing he's not doing: securing his side of the border. This entire problem could be solved almost instantly if Trudeau would just work with President Trump instead of playing these political games. But instead, he's choosing to let his own fellow Canadians suffer just so he can keep on sticking it to Trump. But now, folks, this next part is where things really go off the rails. Because this is where Justin Trudeau went on national television and had a complete and total emotional breakdown. Take a look.
I've made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first, that I have people's backs. And that's why I'm here to tell you all that we got you. Even in the very last days of this government, we will not let Canadians down today and long into the future.
You hear that, folks? Every day that I've been in office, I've put Canadians first. Yeah, sure. That's why his approval ratings are in the gutter right now, hovering around 34%. And by the way, let's all not forget, it was just around a month ago that Trudeau basically stepped down as Prime Minister of Canada because he was so incredibly unpopular, but they haven't been able to find someone to replace him yet, so we all still have to deal with him. Folks, you can tell that these negotiations with Trump have absolutely gotten to him. Trudeau is cracking under the pressure. And hey, in my opinion, Justin Trudeau isn't even fit to manage a poutine shop, let alone an entire country. But now, as I said earlier, President Trump doesn't even want to have to impose these tariffs on Canada. He's only enforcing them to get Canada to actually do something about their side of the border. And if you don't believe me, if you want proof, just look at what's happening in Mexico right now. You see, when President Trump originally announced his border security plan, he was talking about placing heavy tariffs on Mexico as well. But guess what? Mexico has actually stepped up and has started working with President Trump to secure their side of the southern border. And because of that, just the other day, President Trump actually walked back around 85% of the tariffs that he had originally planned for Mexico. So, folks, here's the reality. President Trump is actually a pretty reasonable guy. He's willing to negotiate and work with people, but only if they're willing to work with him also. And so that's why we're in this situation that we're in right now. Mexico is working with Trump, Canada is not. But now, folks, here's the billion-dollar question. Why is Trudeau dragging his feet with all of this? Why is Trudeau refusing to cooperate with President Trump? Meanwhile, his Mexican counterpart, El Presidente Claudia Sheinbaum, is actually willing to work things out. Well, Trump actually gave his opinion on that in a recent post. Take a look. As Trump said, believe it or not, despite the terrible job he's done for Canada, I think that Justin Trudeau is using the tariff problem, which he has largely caused, in order to run again for Prime Minister. So fun to watch. And honestly, folks, I think Trump is spot on. To me, it looks like Trudeau is trying to use this whole tariff situation to rebuild his public image and rally support in Canada so he can run for re-election. And guys, here's the big problem with that. He's doing that at the expense of everyday hardworking Canadians. But okay, folks, what's the big takeaway here? Here's the reality. Trudeau had his chance to fix this. He had the chance to work with Trump, secure Canada's border, and lift the tariffs. But instead, he's throwing an adult temper tantrum, crying on television, and letting his own fellow Canadians, his own people, suffer just so he can try to score some political points. And so now, Canadians are stuck with higher prices, a weaker economy, an open border, and a leader who has no idea what he's doing. Meanwhile, here in America, President Trump is standing strong, putting America first, securing our borders, and making it very clear that he will only work with leaders who actually step up and do their part. So folks, let's all hope that the borders actually end up getting secured, the tariffs get lifted, and that Canadians finally get freed from Trudeau's weak, incompetent leadership. But now, before we wrap up with today's video, I want to say real quick that I've actually gone ahead and made a community Facebook page where I'll be posting additional news and updates relating to all of this. So if you guys use Facebook, check out the pinned comment down below and give that page a follow. But guys, I think that's going to be a wrap for today's video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. Please like the video while you're down there if you like the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a lot with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.